Welcome to the gift shop area or our retail area. You remember how nasty this room looked before? Well, now we carry tons of products and they're all made exclusively here in Young County. These are gift boxes from different vendors, including Texas Roadhouse. This is a box. It's got a $200 gift card to Texas Roadhouse in it. We have all these original made knives. We have tons of books. You'll notice some of them up there. And yes, they came from Pratt's, and some of them are very rare and collectible editions. You're going to see some of the stuff down here about the Indian raids, coal, all of that. Local artists have contributed. We have bonnets, tons of stuff in this room. Candles and incense. We've got all of the quilts and stuff. And then this is the entrance going in. We had our motto made in glass here at the entrance. Let me get where the shades there. Now you can see it. And then when you step through this door, the first thing you run into is a map of Young County from 1897 so that you can kind of understand why people came here. And we'll have signage eventually that explains that land was the reason people came to Young County. And then we have a board here on the Peters Colony. And we've even got a Peters Colony map. And it was commissioned by Henry Hedgecox. And if you know anything about him, you know that he upset the settlers so much they ran him out on a rail in Dallas. It was called the Hedgecox War. So we'll have a little information on that. We're making a representation of a land office here. There's going to be a sign above the window that says land office. And then when you come through here, you're going to see something about the origins of Texans here in Texas. In Texas, that's good, isn't it? So we've got this board on when people came, who they were, and how it developed into where we are today. This board has a listing of all the different tribes. And remember, this is version 1. It'll get bigger and better as we get into it. But we really did this on a shoestring budget. We have some Herald points and some Clovis points and a Comanche bow. This headdress was donated to the museum. We have some more arrow heads. These were the first ones we received, and they were from a 13-year-old boy. Their family ranch was the Tonkawa village in the Brazos Indian Reservation. And if you know, the Tonkawas were alleged to be cannibals. So we'll talk about the Brazos Indian Reservation here a little bit. Then you get to see one of our first taxidermies. And this is a black bear, even though he's brown. He's 2 years old. We will come over here and we will touch on Fort Belknap just a little bit, but not enough to step on the toes out at Fort Belknap. We hope to send people out there for the full story. But we have a cavalry uniform from the Civil War. This would have represented the 6th Cavalry when they were at Fort Belknap. Then we'll talk about William Coke Young, our illustrious namesake. We'll move over here to this map of Texas in 1856, and when you get a chance to look at it, you'll see that Young County, way up there all by itself, because we didn't have any neighbors when we were established. We'll come over here and we'll have a weapons display of some of the weapons used in the early 1800s and how they evolved into the weapons that changed who was in control of the plains in North Texas. So we'll have that. We'll start on the Goodnight Loving Trail. Oh, I didn't show you. This is our mural on the back wall. Really came out good. I mean, it's gorgeous. So this is the McLeod well blowing out. It blew out so hard that the train had to stop coming here because they were greasing the tracks with the oil and the train couldn't pull the load. This is the South Bend oil fields around 1920, 1922. And then we get to our information boards, and this is where we start talking about the deadliest prairie crossing in the West. Excuse me, I'm tongue-tied from everything that went on today. There are 17 different boards up here that discuss different attacks that happened in Young County. And where this white panel is, one of our local artists is painting a 5-foot-tall picture of Setanta. So for the first time in 160 years, when we talk about him, you'll be able to look him face to face, eye to eye. So it's going to be really cool. Come over here, and this is a spur that was found on Cox Mountain where Sheriff Cox was killed. These are a couple more of the Indian attacks that occurred. And then you come over here. This is one of the prizes of our collection. This board talks about the Elm Creek raid of 1864. This scraper and arrowheads were found on property out there where the Elm Creek raid happened. And then, and I'm sorry because I was dumb and didn't turn on the display so you could see it. This is a piece medal that was found at the site of the attack. Supposedly, Little Buffalo had a vision, and he's the one that managed to talk somewhere between 600 and 1,100 Indians into coming on this raid into Young County. They swept down, they hit 12 settlements. In the process, Little Buffalo was killed. And the day after the attack, a 15-year-old boy named Sam Williams went out in the front yard and found this peace medal laying in the yard. There were a lot of peace medals given out, but this is a James Monroe peace medal. They were issued in 1817, and this one's 4 inches wide. It's very, very rare. And, of course, they didn't keep records of who they gave them to, but I believe that only 8 of these 4-inch ones were given out. So it was pretty prized, and the families had it in their collection for over 160 years. We're the first ones to get to display it. The centerpiece of our museum is this wrecked 1895 wagon. And you'll notice we have different pieces of grass. The 4-H group have laid out different types of grass and identified them. So we've got some stem elements here, and people can come in and find out what kind of grasses were growing naturally here and what they recommend to people to plant now so that they can graze their cattle and get the most bang for their buck out of grasslands. And of course, you got to have your scalp hanging somewhere. And as you can see, this wagon was already in bad shape, but we got it where it's burning. So once you get past that, you start seeing some more information boards over here about more of the attacks. And then you get to the information board on Britt Johnson. So when you get past that, then I have a replica of a Golden Boy here. And tomorrow, I will have 173 rounds of 45-70 government ammunition delivered here, or just the brass. So when you look at this display Saturday, down here at the base, it's going to be 173 rounds spread out so people can see what kind of fight Britt Johnson put up. I mean, the gun held like 16 rounds at a time. There were 173 spent, so he was able to reload 10 times before they were finally able to get to him. Another local artist named Mark Nesbitt is painting Britt Johnson, so that'll be a 5-foot-tall portrait standing right here. A little upset with them they didn't get it in time, but hopefully the wait will be worth it. This is our information board on the Warren Wagon Train, and you can see that there's information there. The chiefs. This painting of the Warren Wagon Train attack was painted by Buck Taylor. And then this is the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle where it's talking about the attack. It made national news back in 1871. And of course, the 3 Indians that were tried as civilians, Mamonte, the Owl Prophet, and then a couple more of the prizes of our museum. When you get here, this is Mo. He's one of our mountain lions. And then we have these local artists are donating, painting this mural on the back wall, which is really good because it'll be a nice backdrop for one of the prize parts of our displays. This is our buffalo, Bo, 6.5 feet tall, 11 feet long, almost 3 feet wide. We have two huge information panels that talk about buffalo. And then when you get over here, we have a panel right now so the kids can touch and feel and see what these things were used for. We got the tail that they used to use as a fly swatter, the hoof that they can touch that melted down to glue. They get to feel some hair, see what the horns were used for. And then over here in the corner, up in this tree, you can't come to Texas and not see raccoons. So we've got some raccoons here. And then you go to this side of the storyboards, and we start talking about all of the things that happened in 1872 when the Indian Wars, after the Warren Wagon Train, the federal government finally decided to do something. So you have those attacks, and by 1874, it was pretty much over here in Young County. So we'll talk a little bit about ranching and farming. We've got this ranching display. This is a piece of original art by Beth Pritchard, and she's from Graham. She donated this panel to us. These are Brandon irons, you know, the tools and stuff. A little bit about ranching and some of the bob wire. And then this panel is talking about the Texas Cattle Raisers Association and the founding oak. We had a local artist who painted this tree for us. But if you look at the base of it, this segment that's right here is an original piece of the founding oak. When the storm destroyed the tree in 1976, the district attorney's investigator, who was a history nerd, saw the city hauling it off, so he asked for it, and they gave him the tree. It was in pieces because it had been struck by lightning, and this is one of the largest fragments that's left, and he gave it to us to display. So you get over here, you get to see a little bit more of our wagon and stuff. I've got some more electronics to work on so that when you get to this part right here and you come over here and you see him, there should be an electric eye that'll go off and make him snap and rattle at you. So that'll be a cool part of it. And then you get here, this is a piece of original art representing the original 1879 Young County Jail that the Marlowe brothers broke out of, that the McDonald brothers were shot right outside of. Some bob wire displays, a couple more information panels. This, and you'll have to forgive me for it because it's the best I could do, is a recreation of the 1879 courthouse that we used to have here. I had built it for a train display and showed it to Shannon, and she liked it so much it became a permanent display. It lights up when somebody with the brains turns it on before they start doing a narration for people like you. Anyway, it talks about all four courthouses that we've had to the one that we have today. This is an H.G. Wells 1984 Mausoleum Special, and that's ours now. You come over to this board, and it talks about the Marlowe brothers. And then as another treat, when you get right here, this gun was dug up at the side of the Marlowe brothers ambush in 1924. And the gun, if you look at it in the cylinder, it still has bullets in it. It was carried on one empty cylinder, one round was fired, and then there are 4 others in it, which means the guy didn't need it anymore. So it was probably dropped by one of the people from Graham. It was never recovered, and then when this guy was plowing his field, he found it. He gave it to the chief of police, and in 1920, the evidence locker was your personal locker, so it's been in his family since it was turned over to them almost 100 years. This is the first time it's ever been put on public display, and it's ours. So, sorry, I get a little excited about that. So this takes us right around to the 1900s. So, and this is our coal mine. So, and it's haunted.
Go out here. Coal mine. I don't know why they call it that. I've never seen it. But I was born in 1887 here in Texas Plains. This country runs on coal. If you find a fire, it runs on coal.
Anyway, because we were lucky and diligent in our studies, we talked to people in Newcastle, and we were able to come up with shale. We have a miner's pick. We have a brick from the Newcastle Brick Company. This is an original stock certificate for the Belknap Coal Company, and it's signed by Joseph Kemp on one side. He's one of the Kemp and Kell brothers who put Wichita Falls on the map. This is some of the journals, pay books, things like that. We've got 3 big information panels on it. And then, I forgot to show you. Up here is Mo's little sister, Monty. You can see her looking down. So, and then when you come over here, this is the train table that I built that was in our old building. So we've been working on this one for a while, and you're just in time to see the train arriving at the station. So it's got the Newcastle Coal Company back here in the back, and then you'll see the Brazos Indian Reservation down here. When I bring kids through, I make them identify these places. So we've got that. This is the Kimball Brothers elevator, which is still in Graham today. If you ever come to see us, I'll show it to you. This is the start of the town of Graham. This is a Union Pacific depot, which is exactly like the one that's still here. And then you'll see, I'm sorry, I keep going up and down. This is a representation of the Graham Hotel, and that's the founding oak right there. You see the cattle in front of it, so we have that. And then we have some representation for the oil field in the back. I'll get more derricks as we hit more oil. So we've been really lucky as far as getting artifacts to come in. This is a stock certificate for the Wichita Falls and Southern, which was also a Joseph Kemp and Frank Kell company. So I found that on the internet. This is 2 tickets from Wichita Falls, Texas to Newcastle, the coal capital of Texas. And this magazine's one that's pretty common now. It's a short line journal, and it's all about the Wichita Falls and Southern. And then on the Rock Island, I was able to get, this is a schedule for when the train ran. Spent a whopping $11 to get here from Fort Worth. This is a pass. This is one of the later engines that they had. This train here on top is part of a collection that we got from an estate. They gave it to the museum, and the owner had a 7,000 square foot layout. 22 locomotives, over 100 train cars. So all of that stuff will someday be a train collection here. We got these train lanterns. We've got the oil can. I know I'm talking too much. I'm sorry you got to go all the way through it. This was brought in today. This was taken off the Salt Creek Bridge belonging to the Wichita Falls and Southern. The bridge burned. Some kids went out there and burned it, but this bridge went across Salt Creek. This man spent 22 years trying to get it, and once he got it, he decided he wanted to give it to us. So pretty cool, and that's a piece of train track there in the back. Shannon put this collection of oil field paraphernalia out. It's mostly stuff from her dad, but we'll have a bigger, better display as we get along in this. This video is usually running talking about the big blowout south of Graham. We'll put the Cherry Holmes murder here in this area when we get the board built. We've got a small board for the Santa Claus bank robbers that were caught here. And then this ramp was donated. So it takes us all the way up to a bragging point, which of course is Owen Baggett, the only man to ever be given credit for shooting down an enemy airplane with a pistol. And yes, he's from Graham, Texas. So it's pretty cool. Man, I wished I'd have turned on all the lights before I started this. We're headed into the library area right now. We're over 2,000 books, Miss Sylvia, and a lot of them are rare, one of a kind. We have books on Texas. We have books on the Civil War. We have books on Young County. There's just tons of stuff. We've got librarians working to get it organized for us, and we have locking cases to put it in. The Ledbetter family have given us some books and this portrait. And then we have stuff from Carrie Crouch. Up here on top is her typewriter and her portfolio. But we've already had 4 authors come to visit us to do research. And we will soon have the diary of Rebecca Johnson that has unpublished stories about Britt Johnson that's never been released before. So we're looking forward to that. This is our Charlie Hip collection. I and a friend of mine built this glass enclosure. They were wanting between $8,000 and $12,000 to do it. Once I bought the glass and the 2x4s, we did it for less than $500. So we lucked out on that. This will be the entertainment area in this bay. And this is an old RCA TV down here. When I was a kid, I used to fix these for my father in his shop. I plugged this thing in, turned it on, and it came on. It's a 1955 RCA. I just got to figure out how to get something this old to take videos from a VHS or hopefully DVDs. So you'll go from here to our freight wagon, and this one is an original. It was bought brand new in 1914 in Loving, Texas, with the first load of cotton this family had, and the Shepherds have had it in their family ever since. So you'll be able to come look and touch and feel. And then when you get to our 1831 Concord stagecoach, not only will you be able to look in it, you'll be able to get in it, sit down and have your picture taken. So, of course, we'll be watching them closely to make sure that this doesn't get damaged. But, you know, how great an experience is it to come to Texas and get to climb into a stagecoach and get your picture taken? So we're going to do that. And then one of the other prizes of our collection is this chuck wagon, an original chuck wagon. This is a John Deere 1910 chuck wagon with a Moline chuck box on it. It was owned by a gentleman from Newcastle who was a professional cooker and competed in chuck wagon competitions. So everything on it had to be authentic and original. And he's been one of our biggest volunteers. Check out these beans and biscuit. Make you think you'd be ready to eat it right now. Everything on this has a story. And he's going to be here Saturday telling people about it. Every time he starts talking about it, I spend an hour learning something new about a chuck wagon. So all of this stuff, it was part of his display. It's valued at $30,000 by an appraiser before we got it. And it's right here where I can leave the lights on. People can drive by and drool. And then you'll go from here. This is an extra board right now. This is going to be our refreshment area. Our executive directors from Wyoming, where they mix up carbonated drinks with flavored, like fruit flavors or vanilla cream, things like that. Anyway, she makes custom drinks that we're going to sell here. And then this wall will be covered with art from local artists. I worked out a contract with them, and they are tickled to death to work with us. So all of this art will be hanging on the walls. I forgot to tell you that Mark Nesbitt is the one that's painting Britt Johnson. He's the one who did the artwork for Alan's book. So, and then this ramp takes you back down into the retail area. So you get to come back down in here. This area is a locked door where we can keep our money. We can keep our extra stuff so we can fill it full, cleaning supplies. Anyway, this is the building. It's taken 5.5 years to get here. And we couldn't have done it without your help and all of the volunteers that helped us. I'm so tickled I get choked up talking about it, but it's finally happening. So Saturday, we'll be throwing the doors open. Anyway, thank you for everything that you've done for us. Hope you enjoyed the video.